Thank you again for your service to our country, and thank you for participating in this sound.
Got clutter piling up? FM Junket in Carson, Iowa is your hometown cleanup crew. Fast hauling, fair prices, and now easy dumpster rentals for DIY cleanouts. Your single items to full-on messes, FM Junket gets it done. Call today and breathe a little easier. Hi, welcome to Still Serving Iowa Veterans. I'm Carlene Hall.
I'm Darlene McMartin.
We are here in Council Bluffs, Iowa today at Chapters Living. We have an exciting endeavor today. Do you want to talk about what we're doing?
Well, basically, it's a celebration. It's a celebration of a 100-year-old veteran, Gene Jennings, and the family has cordially invited us to attend his birthday party for that 100th birthday. And we have a group of ladies, well, a couple of ladies coming to present him with a Quilt of Valor. It's the Women for Veterans out of Woodbine, Iowa.
We're so excited to get to be a part of this. You know, I think, Darlene, you were saying earlier there are just 29?
29 in Potawatomi County, World War II veterans still living and thriving. Mr. Jennings, apparently, we just found out that 3 months ago he moved into assisted living.
From his independent apartment.
Yeah, his apartment. So he's been living by himself for 100 years. So it's awesome that we get to provide this service to him, and we'll get to be meeting him very shortly.
So stick around, and we will be right back with all the fun, all the party, and the beautiful quilt, and the beautiful presentation by the Women for Veterans from Woodbine, Iowa. All right.
Hello, this is Darlene McMartin, and I have the pleasure of reading a wonderful book written by Phyllis Kaldenberg and illustrated by Stacy Bonham. And what they did was they wrote a book about a Quilt of Valor. It's called A Quilt for Mr. Mac. And we're using this book today because we're going to be visiting with a 100-year-old veteran, and this is appropriate for that. It's called A Quilt for Mr. Mac, A Quilt of Valor story. Kate came into her grandmother's sewing room. For a moment, she couldn't see her grandmother because of all the piles of fabric. If you're a quilter, you know that. "What are you doing, Grandma?" asked Kate. Grandma laughed. "Looks like I've made quite a mess, doesn't it? I'm sorting my fabrics for a project that I have in mind. Do you want to help?" Kate loved to sew with her grandmother. Right now, it was hard to see the sewing machine, with fabric here and there. "What can I do?" asked Kate. "You can help me sort," said Grandma. "I'm looking for fabric that would look patriotic." "Can you guess what might be patriotic?" "Red, white, and blue," said Kate. "And maybe some stars and stripes." Grandma looked at Kate and said, "Do you remember a few months ago I made a Quilt of Valor? Do you remember what I told you about it?" "I remember," said Kate. "You said that the quilt was going to a veteran who had served our country. You said that it was a way to say thank you for what he had done, and you gave it to a man at your church. Are you going to do it again?" Grandma nodded, and Kate said, "Mom says you have a giving heart." Grandma smiled. "It does feel good to give to others. You have been practicing your sewing, and I thought maybe you would like to help me sew this one. Would you?" "Oh, yes," said Kate. "I want to help." "Good," said Grandma. We will have to start by finding 9 pieces of fabric that would look nice together. Red, white, and blue, said Kate, as she picked up the red fabric. Grandma and Kate spent the rest of the afternoon sorting piles of fabric and laying them side by side until they had the 9 pieces that looked the best together. Kate also found some fabric with stars. A few days later, Kate was back in her grandmother's sewing room. Grandma had been busy getting things ready. There were 9 different fabrics, all cut into squares so that Kate could begin to sew. Grandma showed Kate how to sew the pieces together to make one block. Each block would have 9 different fabric squares in it. A block made this way is called a 9 patch. Kate would have to make many 9 patches before they could sew them together for the quilt top. Kate had a special sewing machine that she used at Grandma's house, just the right size for her. Kate took 2 pieces of fabric and put them with their pretty sides together. Then she sewed them with a straight seam. Grandma was sewing on her bigger machine, and it wasn't long before the blocks began to take shape. Grandma noticed that Kate was quiet as she worked and wondered what Kate was thinking about. "A penny for your thoughts," Grandma said. "What are you thinking?" Kate looked at her grandmother and said, "Who is going to get this quilt?" "I don't know," said Grandma. "I think we should give it to someone who lives in town. What do you think?" Kate didn't hesitate. "I would like to give it to Mr. Mack," she said. Grandma smiled and nodded at Kate. Mr. Mack lived next door to Kate, and he was a very special friend of hers. Mr. Mack was elderly. As a young man, he had served in World War II. Mr. Mack always seemed to have time for Kate. She loved to help him in his garden. He taught her about the plants and even about the insects in the garden. She would sit on his porch and read to him. They were very special friends. Grandma and Kate finished sewing the blocks that day. Instead of sewing the blocks into rows, Grandma had a surprise for Kate. Grandma took one of the blocks and cut through the middle of it. She cut right to left and then bottom to top. Kate couldn't believe what she was seeing. They had worked so hard to sew all the pieces together, and now her grandmother was cutting them apart. "Grandma," said Kate, "what are you doing?" "We are going to mix things up a bit," said Grandma, laughing. "Mr. Mack deserves to have a very special quilt from you. I'm going to cut each of these blocks into 4 smaller blocks, and then we'll sew them back together," Grandma explained. "I think you will like the blocks even better, all scrambled up." "Scrambled eggs?" laughed Kate, as she and her grandmother put the blocks up on the design wall. They turned the blocks into different directions, making changes as they went along. Finally, it was just the way they wanted. It was a few days before Kate could come back and sew again, and she was in tears when she arrived. Mr. Mack hadn't been feeling well and was now in the hospital. "I'm sure he will be better soon," said Grandma. "Let's get to work so we can finish his quilt." First, they sewed the blocks together. Then they sewed the blocks into rows. Then the rows were joined, and the quilt top was finished. The day they finished the top, Kate's good news was Mr. Mack was back home. A few days later, Kate was back to help with the quilt. She had visited Mr. Mack at his house. He was in a wheelchair, and he was very glad to see her. She was going back the next day to read a story to him. It was time to layer the quilts. Grandma had a big piece of fabric that she was going to be the back side of the quilt. They had laid it flat on the table, then they put some white fluffy filler called batting on top of the backing fabric. Then they laid down the pretty quilt top. They used lots of safety pins to hold the layers together. It took a long time to do the pinning. Grandma called it a quilt sandwich. Grandma told Kate that their project wouldn't be a quilt until it was quilted. That meant Grandma had to join all 3 of the layers together using her sewing machine. It would take her several days to do this quilting. Kate's job for the next few days would be to spend some time with Mr. Mack. When Grandma finished the quilting, Kate came back to help sew on the binding. The binding is what covered the edges of the quilt, and the last part of this job was done by hand. They were also going to make a very special label to sew on the back of the quilt. The label will explain who was receiving the Quilt of Valor and who made the quilt. Kate said, "Mr. Mack has a birthday in a few days, and a lot of his family are coming. Could we give this quilt to him on his birthday?" Grandma thought that would be a good idea, and she would talk to Mrs. Mack about it. You need to think about what you're going to say when you give the quilt to Mr. Mack. Grandma told Kate it was hard to find the right words, but Kate wrote a few ideas down on a piece of paper. Soon she knew what she wanted to say. The sun was shining for Mr. Mack's birthday party. After family and friends had eaten the picnic lunch, Mrs. Mack told the group that Kate had something special for Mr. Mack. Kate was nervous as she carried the quilt to Mr. Mack, who was sitting in his wheelchair. He smiled at her, and she took a deep breath. "Mr. Mack," she said, "you are my very special friend, and I have made this Quilt of Valor for you to honor you for your service that you gave our country in World War II. Thank you. I love you." Everyone clapped, and a few people had happy tears in their eyes. Mr. Mack's eyes were wet too. As he opened up his beautiful quilt, he reached out and gave Kate a big hug. "Thank you," he said. "You are my very special friend too." Later, when Kate and Grandma were alone, Kate said, "Grandma, I'm sorry I forgot to say that you helped make the quilt. I'll make sure Mr. Mack knows you worked on it." Grandma gave Kate a hug. "I'm sure he knows you had some help, Kate. I'm so proud of you," said Grandma. "I think you have a giving heart, too." This is a very special book for very special veterans, and we're hoping that you enjoyed it and support the Quilt of Valor program for all veterans. Today we're here to honor Gene Jennings in regard to his military service, and we have the honor of having Women for Veterans here to do the presentation. Betty Jensen and Shirley Sigler are here to provide that honor to you as a Quilt of Valor recipient for your service in World War II. Betty?
Welcome to the ceremony. We are here to honor a veteran for his service to our country. He served with honor, performed his duty, and helped to ensure the freedom we have today. We are especially happy to have his family present to help with the ceremony. Our mission is to honor our service members and veterans who have been touched by war. This quilt brings you a 3-part message from our hearts: honor, freedom, and comfort. First, we honor you for your service to our country in the Navy. We honor you for leaving all you hold dear to stand in harm's way in a time of crisis, protecting us from the effects of war. Next, we know that freedom is not free. The cost of our freedom is the dedication of lives of men and women like you, and this quilt is meant to say thank you for your sacrifice. And finally, this quilt is meant to offer comfort to you and to remind you that although your family and friends cannot be with you at all times, you are forever in our hearts and thoughts. This is not a charity quilt. It is not a blanket. A quilt has 3 layers held together by the stitches. Think of the layers this way. The top of the quilt, with its many colors, shapes, and fabrics, represent the many individuals and communities we are. The batting, the filler, is the center of the quilt, its warmth. It represents the hope that this quilt will bring warmth, comfort, and peace to the individual who receives it. The backing is the strength that supports the other layers. It represents the strength of the recipient, the support of their family, our communities, and nation. Each stitch that holds the layers together represents love, gratitude, and sometimes the tears of the maker.
Ladies, would you help her present the quilt? Okay. Women for Veterans presents this to Gene Jennings. Wishes to recognize you for your service to our nation. We consider it a privilege to honor you. Though we may never know the extent of your sacrifice and service to protect and defend the United States of America. As an expression of our gratitude, we would like to award you with this quilt. It's a presentation certificate.
As of today, the story of this quilt is your story. We hope that you will keep it as a reminder that there are millions of men and women across this land who are in your debt. And that was our pleasure to honor you with this quilt. Thank you again for your service to our country, and thank you for participating in this ceremony.
Thank you. You're welcome. Happy birthday, Gene. Happy birthday. 100 years. Awesome.
Hi, welcome back to Still Serving Iowa Veterans. I'm Carlene Hall.
I'm Darlene McMartin.
We are having a wonderful day today. We have had the opportunity to honor a 100-year-old veteran on his birthday, and his name is Gene Jennings. And what a beautiful celebration with his family, and we hope you enjoyed being able to see that, and we love having the opportunity to bring it to you. But we have a little bit more about Gene Jennings, and Darlene, would you tell a little more about Gene and who he is?
Gene Jennings was drafted into World War II. He served 2 years on active duty and served 5 years on the reserve branch side.
Wow.
He was in the Navy. His rank was Fireman First Class. He was stationed at, and I never knew this, but he was at the USS Wiley destroyer in World War II.
Oh,
so
wow.
his job was fireman or destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what that means, but boy, I'd check it out and
Right.
find out, because it was definitely different than what it is today. He received 7 service medals, which was great. Yeah, he escorted carriers and cargo ships in the South Pacific during World War II. He also cleared minefields in the Yellow Sea, in Korea, and in China after the war.
Oh my goodness.
So the man has awesome history of serving a military, and from Iowa. He was from the Council Bluffs area, so he's local and stayed local. And we got to visit with his family, and they really, he was a Spitfire. He was just a Spitfire.
You know, the thing about him is, so we were out at Chapters Living here in Council Bluffs, but he had just moved from his own place,
Apartment, yep.
his own apartment out there to the assisted living side.
Yeah.
He's still not in nursing care.
No, he's in assisted living.
And
Yeah.
he was fun. He was jovial. He told us that now that he's reached 100, he's gonna be 1 the next day. He's starting over.
Starting over. He's gonna be 1 year old.
That's a lot of
yeah.
fun. I said, boy, Gene, you can get away with a lot when you're 1.
That's right.
And he kind of chuckled a little bit. But his daughters were there, and a son-in-law, and and they're looking forward to having a party on Saturday for him. So he's partying all week about being 100. So
yeah, and he enjoyed the quilt. He thanked the Women for Veterans groups, and he was just amazed that we would even consider him. And there are several veterans still in Iowa.
Yes. Yeah. I think we just looked that up. It's like 429
World War II,
all over the state of Iowa. Now, if you think about that, that's not very many people.
No.
Especially when you think about the fact that 266,000 Iowans served in World War II.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they move around. You know, they've moved about over the years, but every one of them are over the age of 90, and some over the age of 100.
Right.
Yeah.
And
so
we're trying to capture them. I know we've done the Quilts of Valor group has presented quite a few quilts to our World War II veterans, and now they're working their way down to serving Vietnam veterans. And so we're just trying to capture a few of those histories.
We definitely want to focus on as many World War II veterans as we can capture, and we also want to make sure that we talk to those Korean veterans as well. So
I've had a pleasure of going on several honor flights, and we focused during those honor flights on the Korean and the World War II veterans.
That's wonderful.
It's an awesome experience if you've never done one of those to do that as well, because it was funny that when we would go on the honor flight early in the morning, and by the time the end of the day, we were exhausted. The guardians were exhausted. The helpers were exhausted. But those World War II and the Korean veterans chattered all the way home on the plane. They had so much energy.
Energized.
It was just like we were pooped, and they were ready to go. Yeah. And they were excited to share what they learned from their families and everything. Wow. And that's kind of what we're trying to do, is to make sure those stories and those veterans are receiving the honors and the respect that they deserve.
Exactly. And the other very important thing we're doing here is capturing some oral history that a lot of time, and the good thing about our initiative to interview these veterans is we're getting them on camera, and we're going to be having their voices recorded, and this is something that their families can keep forever.
And we failed to do that because those veterans, that they're kind of quiet. You got to draw that stuff out of a lot of them to get their story. That's true. They get to be a little quiet about wanting to share that, because they just did it because that was the right thing to do, to serve their military. And I was really surprised. I mean, he was drafted, so I don't know if I got to look at my dad's to see whether or not he was drafted. I mean, I thought he enlisted, but maybe he was drafted. Who knows? I never ever, we never asked him. I never asked him. So those are questions that you need to be asking your family.
Yes. Now, Darlene, where will you find that information?
Well, hopefully, I sent for his records at one time, and you can send down to St. Louis and use an SF-180. Just Google it, and it'll bring it up, the application.
On va.gov?
va.gov, or just Google it, and it should bring up the form.
Okay.
And you can fill that out. Even if the veteran has passed away, the family can submit a request for those records and get that history, and that should have their discharge papers, it should have their duty assignments, it should have a lot of stuff in there.
Oh, and it would have their medals listed,
Medals
and different
listed,
things like,
yes.
and they can replace those medals if they're missing, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's good information
They can do
to
a
know
medal request for that,
families,
and they can go back through those histories. So there's a lot of things that I've had a few questions, a few people wanting to know, well, can I get my dad's? Can I access my uncle's or whatever? They need a family member, and so they got to have that history as to who actually should receive that information or those records and stuff. But there's so many things that we don't stop and think about being important, and military history is very important.
Yeah.
And I mean, we lost over 8,000 during World War II from Iowa. And so those families
those are big numbers.
Big numbers, histories of that. But we're trying to capture them.
Yeah.
So we've got about 29% yet of the Iowa veterans are World War II. So we need to keep.
Yep. We need to keep reaching out, keep
reaching.
finding them.
Yeah.
If you know of a World War II veteran anywhere in the state of Iowa, send us a message on this Facebook page on Messenger, and we would love to follow up.
And try and interview them or get them captured. And there's groups out there, there's organizations out there that really want to get this history of the veterans documented. And we can get that information to that organization as well, and hopefully reach out to a lot more veterans than we've been reaching out.
Yeah.
Also today, we were able to go and visit with a Vietnam veteran and located at an assisted living in Council Bluffs at Primrose. Alan Stevens when we present the quilt, we'll give you more information on his military service. We want to have him give us a little background as well when we add this to our series of presenting Quilts of Valor. This quilt is presented by the Nishnabotna Valley Quilt Guild, which we did a live scenario of that a week or so ago.
Yeah, Darlene was presenting them with a check from the Iowa Veterans Foundation.
And so we're going to be presenting that quilt to Alan Stevens as a thank you for his military service as well. And so that will be following this scenario here too.
Yeah.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Darlene McMartin from Still Serving Iowa Veterans. And we are going to be presenting today, on behalf of the Nishnabotna Valley Quilt Guild, a quilt of honor to a Vietnam-era veteran. Alan Stevens, would you please come forward, please? This beautiful quilt of valor presented by the Nishnabotna Valley Quilt Guild. And Ruth, I'll let you take this side over here. And we're going to wrap him up in the quilt.
I'll give up.
Good to see you, Alan. How are you? Yeah. What branch of service were you in, Alan?
Army.
You were in the Army? Yeah. And what time? What period?
61 to 64.
You betcha. That was a tough time, the beginning
Well,
of the
I was
Vietnam.
lucky. I never made Nam.
Yeah, but you were served,
I was-
ready to
I
go.
was a tank mechanic, supposed to be headed that way.
Yeah,
So,
Well, we appreciate your service, and he has been a lifetime member of the Hancock American Legion Post 720 for as long as I've known him.
yeah.
And he's close to being a neighbor out there in the Hancock
About as
area.
close. They had a new house built. We had one burned. And guess what? They was Hackett's to her place and to our place. At the
Yep,
same
trying to
time.
work it at the houses and building the houses. So we thank you very much for your service. And here is also a history book. It's called Vietnam War 50th Commemorative, a time to honor our veterans. And we got little stickers here, bumper stickers. And we love our Vietnam vets, that's for sure. So there's a video about it, so you can watch it. And unfortunately, you lived some of that era. So, but this is a good way to get the history of the Vietnam. And we supported you, and we service, duty, and sacrifice to be in the military, and we appreciate everything that our Vietnam veterans have done for us. And still serving Iowa veterans, we'll keep promoting and helping veterans in Iowa as much as we can. Thank you.
Ooh,
Yep. Yep. We'll unwrap you, you get hot.
yeah, that's one warm thing.
That one warms up.
You read this book today earlier, and I wanted to just kind of touch base on that book because you called the author,
Yes,
Darlene,
I did.
and asked her permission to put this out on our platforms. And tell a little bit about your conversation.
Phyllis is remarkable. Phyllis
Let's hold the
Kaldenberg
book
is
up,
the
yeah.
author of A Quilt for Mr. Mac, and Mr. Mac found out that, I mean, it says it in there that it's her father. He was a World War II veteran, and the little girl in the book is her granddaughter. And so it was very awesome to listen to her as to her telling her story of how this was created. And she also invited us to go to Winterset, to the Quilt of Valor group, and visit with them to get their story of how it was created and what they like to do, and how you, if you're a quilter, want to get involved in the Quilt of Valor group in your in your state or in your county, if you have one, if you even know how to a little bit of sewing or just some help in some way, and what they can do to help promote getting quilts out to veterans. A lot of them are the World War II, or they're on hospice, or they're just remarkable people, and they just want to make sure that's getting out there. And so I'm anxious, and I think Carlene and I want to take a road trip to see the bridges of Madison County as well.
Yes.
So we want to go to.
Never done that.
Yeah,
I don't think
Winterset.
Clint Eastwood will be there. But.
No, but we can only in our dreams. So we want to tell you that that's coming down the pike as to one of our segments that we want to acknowledge how supportive the Quilt of Valor group is.
So we're going to continue to do follow-up on these Quilts of Valor, and we're going to bring more information and more videos of presenting these quilts. And these veterans are so honored with these quilts. He was so appreciative.
Right.
And you'll see it in the video. You've seen it in the video. So anyway, yeah, it was wonderful. I feel so blessed to have been able to be a part of it and to meet his family and him, and yeah, so that was.
And also meet the groups that are doing it.
Yes.
They're doing it. We're going to be doing a segment and showing somewhere along the line of how these quilts are put together, how much time it takes to commit to putting in making a Quilt of Valor, and the dedication and the donations that they need to continue to do that. These are not inexpensive quilts. These are not the created from craft. I mean, just they're awesome to be able to put these quilters.
Quilters are putting these
the
quilts
quilt
together.
machines.
Yeah,
they're
right.
doing it they're volunteering.
Yeah.
This is not a paid organization by any sense of the word. So they're volunteering their time, their creativity, their dedication, and they're doing it from, a lot of them are spouses of veterans, children of veterans, veterans themselves that are doing this.
Can
and
you
so
imagine sitting there cooperatively working on a quilt together and the conversations that are
Oh, yeah.
happening and the connection and the community that's taking place in these? I would love to be a fly on the wall.
Yeah, just to listen to them.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them will go, "Oh, I don't know how to put these corners together," or "It's not perfect." Well, these quilts don't have to be perfect
Yeah.
because they're made from their heart. They're made from a dedication. So nothing in life is perfect, and so every stitch has a meaning because
It's organic. It's just organic. And thank you for saying that, because one quilter might put a binding on different than another quilter, or maybe they choose a particular pattern, or they just want to do squares. But everybody does it different, and everybody does it beautifully.
Yes.
And it's done with love, and that's the point.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was handmade. It was made with loving hands and loving hearts, and that's what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thank the foundation, Iowa Veterans Foundation, for sponsoring this program, and we are going to continue do as much as we possibly can to promote veterans initiatives throughout the state of Iowa.
We need to take one moment and say thank you to Full Metal Junket and Drake Roller as well for sponsoring the show. And thank you for joining us today again on Still Serving Iowa Veterans. And we'll see you next Friday. But watch our Facebook page during the week, because Darlene posts a lot of very interesting things during the week that would be of interest to veterans and those of you who love veterans. So thank you for doing that, Darlene.
Well, we'll keep getting the word out there because there's a lot going on now.
There sure is. Thank you.